Well, hello there, everybody. I thought I would do a video of my new studio. Well, new last summer. The clubbers and I were talking last week on our live chat over on Substack about flow, workflow, and we spent a great deal of money turning what had been a falling down shed into this new studio. And it is infinitely better than the old one. The old studio, for those of you who've been around for a while, you'll know because you'll have seen it, was the old barn attached to the house where we live. Much prettier than this, much prettier. Oh yes, lovely stone walls and kind of enormous vaulted ceiling, really stunning. But practicality wise, I used to spend my life having to climb up something to reach up because I'm only 5'2" and everybody designs things for people who are taller than me. So this place has been designed for me. So it's got much lower ceiling, as you can see. Well, we decided that we would have a ceiling at all because it's really my place. I'm 5'2" and I can have a low ceiling. And having a low ceiling meant that we could have a little staircase and a vaulted storage space upstairs. So it's not very big, but it's big enough to store the dahlias and, you know, spare vases and kit stuff. Dried flowers, very good up there. This space is 8 meters by 8 meters. The whole, it's square. So this whole studio is 8 meters by 8 meters, which is quite big, but a good deal smaller than the old place. And I thought I'd show you the things I like about it and a couple of things I not mad about, and the things which you might take as a top tip if you were thinking of setting up a studio space in your land somewhere, for whatever your business. I mean, I could be making jam here, I could be making patchwork quilts, I could be writing books, I could do all sorts of stuff here. This, at the moment, it's set up for a flower farmer who processes flowers and does quite a lot of the floristry herself. So I'm my own customer. I grow my flowers, I buy my flowers from myself, if you like, and then I sell the finished product. So some of the flowers that come in here go on wholesale, and some of them I'm the florist. So number one, what do I like about it? I like the fact that it is east-west facing. So this studio is east to west, which means that I've got the light. I'm going to pick you up and carry you around. Look, the south side of this studio has small windows, and can you see there's a hedge? So we never get too much direct sunlight. Yeah. So it's always cool and relatively shady in here. West, we've got these lovely big doors which completely open up onto the flower farm. Great. And if you look over here, these are all boxes which need to be sorted out. They are, in the winter, I order them from my colleagues in Cornwall. So that's deliveries from Cornish flower farmers. On the way, we'll go in the loo. Come in the loo, everybody. Love the loo. Big cupboard. Very important to have a big cupboard. And it's just got the broom and stuff in there and a small water tank for hot water. But also, look, like this, there's a shower. So that if you come in from the field and you're filthy or covered in sap, you want to, rinse off flower farming, you can do it before you go back into the house, and it means that the house is less dirty. So we love that. Obviously the loo is quite big because it needs to have, what's it called? Disabled access. No point having a flower farm where you teach a lot of people and say, no, I'm really sorry, you can't come because we haven't got room for you. You can't go to the loo. That'd be a bit mean, wouldn't it? So very important to have a disabled sized lavatory. Now, this is so far the only hook I have. So if you were watching my Instagram or anything over the Christmas period, you'll have seen wreaths hanging on this hook. There's mud on the door, whoops, where I was hanging things up. So I need to get more hooks up here so that I can hang up more things and use this as a place to show things. This door though is brilliant. Love the colour, and flowers against it look stunning. So I do need to just put some kind of, attractive hook that won't get in the way if I'm using this as a background to photograph against. It's a good place to photograph against because the light floods from right and left. So it doesn't blind you. It's a nice, gentle, incoming light. And anybody running a small business needs to be able to photograph their kit, their products in a calm, light place. This is also a very nice background. This is unpainted, unfinished plaster. So I can photograph flowers against here, but I can also photograph flowers against here, and they look quite different. It's a nice different background depending on the light and the day. Now, come outside. This is great. I love this. This is my situtory, and we always were going to have, it's not very tidy, but there you are, a sort of lean-to coming out this side so that facing east, I can park trolleys full of flowers here and they're not going to be in direct sunlight. And it works. Brilliant. So in the summer, I've got loads of room to park my harvest, and I can sort of smoothly take it from here through the studio where any floristry or processing can happen, out the other side where people can collect. So it's in one side, out the other. And the old studio, there was always a sort of pinch point by the door where people were coming in and the flowers were coming in and they were going out the same way, and I was constantly having to play bucket Tetris. Don't have to play bucket Tetris here. Things come in this end and they go out the other end. And you'll see that I've got loads of beams and hanging structures here, which when I'm doing floristry workshops, so I have a 3-day eco-floristry retreat in June, which is really floristry for everybody. We do a day of bouquets, and you could call it a sort of wedding hand ties and bridesmaids bouquets and buttonholes and things. That's the first day. Second day we do tablescaping, pedestal vases, lovely ideas for dressing a party. So we can play with lots and lots of ideas. And then the third day we do big installations. And of course this is brilliant because it faces east. So if people are a bit slow with the floristry, or they walk around with the flowers in their hands and forget to get them in the water, students, this is ideal because it's shady and cool. So I love, this is very good. And I can, again, when we're doing big installation workshops and things, I can use all the structure that I've got, all the beams and the hanging spaces as a place to hang things from. So again, when I do in the summer, I got lots of demos. I do lots of floristry demos online, and they can all happen here, and I can use all of these things while I do those demos. Handy. So very pleased with that. So extra happy with the shade of facing east. Love the fact that the material comes in from the east and out through the west, and there's no pinch point. I've got a tap just against the wall over there, and I've got another one round the side here. Very useful. You've got to have your outdoor tap if you're a flower farmer and you're harvesting. Very important. And at the moment, this is working a bit like an outside propagating station, and as the season goes on, it will become more so. And I always rather envied Lisa Mason Ziegler's setup, and she has them. They're officially the same hardiness zone as we are, but I think they're much warmer than we are. Anyway, I love her setup under a kind of shady area like this where she propagates a lot of seeds, and I am beginning to I'm getting sort of into the habit of doing that myself here, which is really, really handy. It's a way of bringing seeds on that need to be, I can have things that need to be cold for a while, can sit under here, but equally I can harden things off here. It's really, really useful. So I'm really enjoying having this space, which is why there are so many tables. And I do move them around a bit, but that's really handy. Now, another thing I really like, if you're thinking about making yourself a studio, is, hold the line caller, we'll just go up through here, is hard standing. Now, if you're going to have any kind of workspace, you're going to need a place where people are prepared to deliver. The compost is Rocket Grow, made in Somerset, not very far from here. I love it. It's attractive, my little studio. There we are, with its windows up there. Although I'm not loving, we painted the render this amazing red, but can you see how it's staining in the rain? Not thrilled with that. We'll see how it wears, but we may have to do something about that. But anyway, back to the matter in hand. What's good here is that's Rocket Grow there. I'm mulching all my beds with it, but it's too wet to get on the beds today. Anybody else saying I'm not allowed to start pricking out until the mulching's finished, and then they can't get on the land because... So I did all the beds around the house today, but at least they're done, because then it's less wet than it is up here. Anyway, what's really great here is an area of hard standing for deliveries. Yeah, you've got to have somewhere hard standing so that if a lorry arrives with something heavy, like a big thing of compost, it'll be all, anything delivered on a pallet needs to be taken out of the lorry and put onto hard standing with a sort of roller thing so that it can be put in the right place. And you can't do that unless you've got hard standing, and you need proper concrete, not gravel, not quite hard standing. It's got to be properly hard standing. So this concrete apron, which was always here, funnily enough, is brilliant because this is our little patch of hard standing. And I slightly wish that we had done all of this as hard standing. That's the entrance. There was an old gate there. So we got planning permission to make a parking area for the workshops and things that we hold, and people and visitors and so on. And I'm afraid I went for gravel because it was inexpensive, and also I've always fantasized about being one of those posh ladies with the gravel, the sound of wheels on gravel. I slightly regret it. It's going to need weeding, and it's a bore to pull a trolley through it. That wasn't my best decision. Anyway. But otherwise it's very good. There's still a couple of other things I need in my studio. My husband is very determined that he's very keen on health and safety, so that's not pretty, but no one will sue us for tripping over it because we did put a thing to make it clear that was a step. This area, so I was talking about this with the club yesterday, how Fabrizio had put the tea making area up by the sink, and actually it's really annoying. It's kind of in the way. You've got to have it really clean, and so actually this is going to be great as the tea making area because I can fill up the tea urn and I can bring all of the cups and saucers and milk and things, and it can really have its own area. Nice wiped down table, so health and safety happy, and it's away from everything else. It won't get confused with any floristry or plant material. Obviously, you wouldn't want people stirring poisonous plants into their coffee. So you can have that separate. So I think that's a really good thing. Also, this corner, what I haven't got yet up here, along with hooks, is I haven't got a big clock. And I really like a big clock so that at a glance I know what time it is. I work quite fast, so I'm constantly trying to think. So I give myself timed objectives so that I can get the job done and get on with the next thing. And that way I don't need very much help. Because I know exactly how long everything takes me to do. I can therefore work to fill that time. I can turn down more work if I want to, because I know, but equally I can work quite fast. But in order to do that really well, a big clock there is a good idea. And I had a really nice clock at the old studio, and I reached for it. And Fabrizio said, "No! You can't take the clock." And I was like, "Yeah, but I can't tell what time it is. You've got a perfectly good phone." "Well, yeah, but the phone's usually in my pocket. So I need a clock, and I'm going to put it there with the coffee, with the tea urn." And the other thing I'd really like is, and I used to have at the old studio, and I've been using my phone, works quite well. I can put the camera on my phone, and I can put my phone on the tripod here, and I can use it like a mirror. But it would be good to have a long mirror in here, because then you can, if you're making a bride's bouquet or something, you can hold it up and see how it looks and looks to the other person. So I think a long mirror in a flower studio is a really, really good idea. And I think it's likely to go here, because that's not a place where I'm likely to take a lot of photographs because there's too much light. But it would look very nice if I were a bride trying on a bouquet. It would look nice. I would look nice. I would feel it look good. So yeah, I need a long mirror. I need a row of hooks for coats and things, as well as a nice hook on the door for photography. I've got the other top thing. Oh yes, Sarah was asking about my cozy place. I don't really have a cozy place here yet, but yes, that is a skip. Fabrizio loves a skip. I can't tell you how much he loves a skip. He's never really happy unless there's a skip here. And so I've said he can have a skip until the first workshop. We've got a career change flower farming workshop here towards the end of March, I think. And that skip has got to be gone. So I've said he can have it until then, and then it's got to be gone. So Sarah was asking if I have a cozy place, and I don't really, but I do like this corner. So this is not obviously the same as my beautiful old shelfie that I had in the old studio, but it is nevertheless a kind of cozy corner. And I do find myself, I think I like sitting with my back to the wall and I can see people coming in both directions. Plus there's a fire. So if I light the fire, I'm next to the fire. So that's my cozy place where I can sit and do some writing, or I've been teaching there. You can see there's my flip chart. I do a lot of writing on my flip chart when I'm teaching. We're very lo-fi, excellent workshops. Top quality, all 5-star on my Google reviews, but it is quite kind of, there I am writing on a flip chart. So that's a cozy corner, and it's got some of my vases and things that I don't really use very much. The vases that get used a lot are by the sink, although there are very few there because I've just taken a load up to Leamington Spa because we're doing these funeral flowers at Chelsea, and there will be no plastic on the stand, and so we're going to use glass vases, obviously. Little extra things. I really like the fact that the waste not want not, that sort of sideboard piece of furniture, which I had in the old studio, is covering up the kitchen-y bit of the place, where I'm delighted to say I have a dishwasher and I will have a sink, a fridge. The fridge hasn't quite arrived yet, but that's on the list. The buckets, I have many buckets. The buckets all live at the end there, and not in the way. They're all easily managed. And I've got a good Belfast sink for washing things that are not dishwasher proof. For example, charming French coffee pot. I don't think that would like a dishwasher. And that, there you are, there's a little tour of my studio. I think if you're setting up any kind of workflow, make it so that things come in one side and go out the other, and then there's no pinch point. If you can do that, then you're not having to rearrange in order to get in and out of something, and that will not slow you down. Oh yes, I tell you what, I wanted to say, I found, I went to the Flowers from the Farm conference the other day, and this was, very nice girl gave me this, and I think it's such a good idea. If you love a jam jar posy, but you're not confident about arranging, she makes these little frogs, and you pop them on top of your jam jar, and then you can arrange your flowers through the holes. I think that is, and there's nicely separated. You can see, so there's, if I put it, yeah, there, it's better against my shirt. You can see how there's room for lots of lovely flowers, and that is a really attractive setup. And she's called Flower Flow. It's a flower flow thing. And she's called Jenny. She's a very nice girl. So there's Jenny. So I thought that was a really lovely thing. And look, she does them out of China, makes them in China as well. So if you're not a confident florist and you don't want to learn how to make hand-tied posies, then I think a flower flow top like this, and they come in all different sizes. I think that's a really attractive thing to put, and you can put it on top of any kind of size vase or jar or bowl or whatever, and arrange your flowers through it. So well done. I think that's a very nice idea. Anyway, and I found it. I'm sorry I didn't mention it before, but I came back from Flowers from the Farm, and I've only just sort of had a sort out of the car, because I was then taking a load of stuff up to Gentle Blooms to do the mock-up of what we're going to do for the funeral flowers installation at the Chelsea Flower Show in May. Anyway, I'm going to turn this around and you can see, look at the light. This is what I really love about this room. I love the light. Good, isn't it? So it's not especially high ceilinged. If I want to do very tall arrangements, I will make them outside. But I've got nice places for photography. Look at the light. It's lovely, isn't it? Another good place for photography I've learned. And if you don't have anywhere good for photography, or you've got good light, but you haven't got anywhere, but it doesn't land on a pretty place, look at my friend Lucy Heath of Capture by Lucy, and she makes backdrops, beautiful backdrops. And you could have a backdrop and hang it wherever the light is good. That's a really good idea. Anyway, I like this corner. It's oddly enough. Look, nice light, isn't it? Yeah. And obviously one would we frame the image without the banister or the shelfie. But actually I quite like this. I like an edge. Okay, maybe I'll make a clip about photography. But look, if I bring this closer in a little bit. Look. Obviously you make it so that your camera is absolutely straight, which this isn't. But I really like having a line here and a line here. And then I could put a bunch of flowers here. And this, the unfinished plaster blurs out behind in photography. So this is just a nice kind of generic earthy colour, and the flowers can really sing. But I do like the way that the shelf and the banister sort of frame it. Anyway, so I'm enjoying my new studio. I do know that I'm an extremely lucky girl. For those of you who are members of my club, you know that I saved up for 15 years. No, I saved up for about 12 years. And I'm always telling people, if you're running a small business, this was a very good piece of advice I was given by my friend Georgie Hopkins years and years ago when I started the business. And she said, save 10% of your turnover, not your profit, turnover. Save 10% of your turnover and it will give you money to invest. So this is 10% of my turnover. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this little tour. And maybe you've got some really good ideas for things that you do that make your workspace really, really brilliant. So do share them in the comments. Apologies for the untidiness and things that need sorting out, but this is a working space. It's not a show garden or a show field. Listen, that's the mud. That's Somerset in the winter. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the clip, and I'll see you all very soon. Bye-bye.